Welcome to Hong Kong Headlines 1995. All eyes are on the territory as it makes its transition to Chinese sovereignty. But with a little more than 500 days to go, are the changes good enough and fast enough for Hong Kong to maintain its special qualities before and after 1997?
As 1995 comes to a close, there are a host of issues open for debate and implementation. We now examine the events that have made headlines and history, from the territory's unprecedented elections to Hong Kong's battle over the budget.
We begin with a look at the historic elections and LegCo having more say as China prepares for a shadow government in the run-up to the handover. Hong Kong's 28th and last colonial governor and the architect of Hong Kong's political reforms. After a century and a half of British rule, democracy blooms slowly.
Campaigning for the municipal council elections is fierce. 15 pro-Beijing candidates stand for elections, while the Democratic Party produces 33 contestants. But it seems party lines aren't so clear.
Veteran politician and Hong Kong Affairs advisor Elsie Tu charges rival Sito Hua of undermining her democratic credentials, but she also finds herself defending other things.
Why should my age be a problem? Ask about my health. I haven't had a day's sickness in more than 10 years.
March 5th, voters go to the polls.
Well, I think the importance, the people that we vote is represent the people towards our message to the government.
And the government also has a message.
The splendid sunny day, so just the right day to cast one's vote.
But it's far from perfect from China's point of view. It sees the polls as a threat to the Basic Law and the Joint Declaration.
What has happened today is about as threatening as a pussycat.
Elsie Tu loses her urban council seat to Sito Hua by 2,000 votes. The electorate also gives other Democratic Party candidates the thumbs up. But China is firm the three tiers of government will not survive after 1997.
For Beijing, the big event is its own electing of Hong Kong advisors, as it bolsters its list of candidates for the preparatory committee to be set up next month.
Fears of a shadow government grow, with worries that major projects won't be finished on time. But doubts about confidence are hard to ignore, even for Britain.
My worry, which I've expressed, is that the process is too slow. We have tried to accelerate it in the past. We will try to accelerate it again, because it is the best way.
Meanwhile, China goes on the diplomatic offensive.
This is Mr. Bigford. Mr. Liu, welcome. Nice to meet you.
In the U.S., it delivers messages of optimism.
All of us are working together so that by July 1st, 1997, we shall be proud to say to the world that Hong Kong, the pearl of the Orient, will shine more brilliantly than ever.
But will Hong Kong's luster slowly disappear, with the territory's rule of law and freedoms debatable after 1997?
In Britain, a cabinet reshuffle means a new foreign secretary with an unenviable challenge.
I welcome the fact that there's been some real progress on some of the substantive issues involving the Chinese government in recent times, and we look forward to seeing more progress in the interests of the people of Hong Kong.
And there to help is a new Hong Kong minister.
The best way of starting is to meet the governor, who is an old friend, and I'm looking forward very much indeed to learning from him.
The British Trade Minister heads a delegation of 150 prominent businessmen to China in trying to improve economic ties.
Meanwhile, Hong Kong tunes up for its historic Legislative Council elections, despite China's objections.
On the airwaves and in the streets, the government urges people to vote.
Candidates are out in force to win support. September 17th, Super Sunday. The popularity of contenders is put to the test.
These are credible, fair elections. They're the most open elections in Hong Kong's history.
But some are unconvinced. In the sleepy town of Yuen Long, angry villagers storm a polling station after being told they can't vote because they aren't registered.
Nearly 1.4 million voters, though, are able to cast their ballots. Incumbent legislator LC2 again finds herself in another contest against Sita Wah.
10:30 p.m., polling stations close and the counting begins. The governor watches his reforms bear fruit. For Beijing, the political exercise is just that, with LegCo's chances of surviving 1997 slim at best.
Nonetheless, security is tight. Ballot boxes trickle into the counting center along with contenders. Liberals emerge victorious, with Democratic Party candidates clinching 19 LegCo seats. Liberal Party candidates win 10 seats, although half run unopposed.
Many of the critics had in the past year belittled the Liberal Party and didn't think we could stand the pressure, we will win in direct election, etc. And I think my winning the direct election, that they have eat their own bitter fruit.
For the pro-Beijing Democratic Alliance for the Betterment of Hong Kong, the moment of truth is brutal. Its chairman loses his bid by more than 5,000 votes, but he blames the loss on lack of preparation rather than popularity.
This is one very good lesson to learn in future. When we take part in elections again, of course, we are certain to stand in future elections.
Incumbent and prominent DAB member Tam Yu Chung also loses, but by a narrow margin.
And LC2 comes up short for the second time. But as more results come in, so do criticisms.
按照彭定康的政改方案所举行的选举，从本质上来说，而且必然是不公正、不合理的。
Those kinds of remarks cause concern abroad.
We believe that stable governing structures are vital to Hong Kong's smooth transition and to its prospects for continuing prosperity after 1997.
The chief secretary hits the road, drumming up confidence in Hong Kong as China continues to blast the elections.
这个新的这个选举制度没有经过中国同意的这个选举制度，就像裁缝为一个人做衣服一样，是根据他的大小、胖瘦，来制定，这个完全是不公正的。
Is this one of yours? But for the governor, it's a perfect fit for Hong Kong. Downing Street is quiet, at least during the Chinese foreign minister's ice-breaking visit to Britain, where several agreements on Hong Kong are hammered out. They range from setting up a liaison office to improving contacts between civil servants and their mainland counterparts.
No mention of the LegCo elections is made until later.
The elections held 3 weeks ago were free and they were fair. Demolishing Hong Kong's democratically elected bodies would be very damaging for Hong Kong after 1997. And we hope that the Chinese government will reconsider.
Rifkind is to visit Beijing in January in hopes of easing any more difficulties.
But the only plan China is concerned about is the setting up of the post-97 administration. Its last batch of advisors is appointed, and the preliminary working committee maps out more transitional matters, a sign of the eventual swing in power as 1997 approaches.
The 1995-96 LegCo session, a new season, a new say on Hong Kong affairs. 28 new faces grace the chamber. Another first, members swear their allegiance to the Hong Kong people, and for one legislator, to the wrong council.
Member of the Open Council of the Legislative
The new
Council.
LegCo session isn't expected to be a sleeper. members wake up to a new challenge, but not from China. This time, it's the governor who makes it clear LegCo shouldn't see itself as an alternative administration.
I wanted to make it absolutely clear that every buck stops with me, and that I have to make the decision at the end of every day or every week whether what we're doing is in the interests of the people of Hong Kong.
But at midnight, June 30th, 1997, his job ends. Legislators demand he speak up now on the council's shaky future, if any.
I just don't think it's good enough for you to sit here today and say you are not going to anticipate that. If you clearly think that it is in breach of the JD, you should say so. Say so in no uncertain terms to the British government, to the Chinese government, and to the Hong Kong people.
And it's the people who speak up as they also vent their frustrations, ranging from the public's future freedoms to livelihood issues.
Ah, I was waiting for that.
And what will await Hong Kong in 20 months' time? One country, two systems. For some, it's a dubious formula. For China, it's Hong Kong's backbone after 1997.
But the dawning of a new political era is already eclipsed by fears a shadow administration will operate before them, leaving many wondering if China's formula is already taking off.
When we come back, top civil servants call it quits.
And Hong Kongers demand their civil rights be protected. Stay with us.